Hey Flosstube, it's Kim, aka Spartan Stitcher, back again with another weekly Flosstube update. It is the 13th of January 2020. This is Flosstube number 51. I'm almost at my Flosstube anniversary for 1 year. So, let's talk about what I got done stitching-wise this week. I did work a bit more on Macintosh Mill Dimensions Kit with art by Charles Wysocki. This is my 20 and 20 focus piece for Full Coverage Fanatics that I want to finish this year. So, look at that. So I continued down here, filled this in. I did all of the water wheel and the background behind it. Excuse me. So I now have a total of, counting half stitch as 0.5, I have 1,800 stitches in this piece, which is going towards one of the parks for Full Coverage Fanatics National Parks. Also, for all my, everything that I show you for the School of Magical Stitches and Literature, I haven't been doing the homework, but all of my stitches have been going towards the team events to build the parks, whether it's the ticket booth, the ferry, the monorail, Frontierland, and now Cinderella's Castle. I am in the Wilderness Lodge, so all my stitches have been going towards that. So I can kind of stitch what I want, but still play along and contribute. So there is a total so far of 1,800 stitches on this piece. I will pick it up again in January. I just decided to put it down for a little bit and work on some other stuff. I did get the 2 Gast skeins that I needed for the Familiar Cell by Ingleside Imaginarium. So I finished up Felis. So there's an overall shot of, this is 32 count Lugana in Murky by Picture This Plus, to give you a good picture of the color. That's pretty accurate right there. I've got some good indirect sunlight coming in the window. So I finished Felis. I put in the orange and the blue gas. Now, I showed you the orange gas that came with it before, and then I talked about how it actually matched really well with the unmarked orange that I was using in Witchy Tea Time. So I moved that one over to Witchy Tea Time and just ordered a new skein because I needed the blue anyways. The new orange that I got, let me see if I can grab it here and show you. Oh, that's the wrong one. This one. It's much lighter. So completely different dye lot. You can see there's lots more yellow in there than orange. So what I did, I didn't want his eyes and mouth to be that light. So for him, I actually used the DMC equivalent in those areas, which I think was 742. And I will save this because depending on where Brittany uses it in other parts of the design, it might be better to have a lighter version of the floss. So I will just, play it by ear. Let me fold this in half so you can see it up close. See how Felis looks. Get you to focus. And I did the back stitching. So we finished up the candle, and there's a little bit around each flame of the blue gas, and then DMC for the eyes and mouth. And then I went ahead and I did the border for February. I didn't get to work much on the top part, but at least I'm ready for February, and if I get a spare moment the rest of this month, I can always chip away at the top border there. Okay, so I wanted to get to a 10 stitch piece, and the other 2 full coverage pieces that I have for the month of January are a Summer Ball, which is not 10 stitch, and Kindred Spirits by Jody Bergsma. This is my, I'd say, most neglected full coverage right now, as it's over 2 years old and only has 2 pages done. So I have page 1 and page 2 done, and I had started the background, so all the light colored stitches in page 3 right above his mane. So right here, I'm going to get real close so you can see all the pretty colors in there. So there's purples, there's blues, and I have done, since I've already worked on it today, I'll work on it some more. Today is day 5 on the piece, and I have done 4,400 tent stitches so far. I pushed myself hard to get a certain number done today so that I can tell you that I have done 4,000 full cover stitches for the month so far for January. Now today's the 13th. The monthly quota that I need to meet the parks for every month is 8,333. So even though I was late getting started because of all the grading for the School of Magical Stitches, I have already gotten, or will have, because I still have more stitchy time today, I will reach the halfway mark in that quota today, and it's not even halfway through the month. So makes me feel good, like I caught up. I don't need to push myself as much. Now, let me show this to you where it's not upside down. So, 4,400 tent stitches since you saw this in my whip parade. Almost all of that is down here in the mane. Let me point out where the page break is. Page break is right above my finger. So I do have all of this goes into the next page. What's hard to see, or at least I can't tell, there's a massive block of white right here. And I started bringing the white over because it finishes up this page and goes into the next one. So there's a massive area of white. I don't know if you can see it. I'll get real close. You can see it more due to the fainter lines of the easy count. So there's white in there. So I will continue to work on this page. So I already have 4,000 full coverage stitches towards the parks, but because they're split over 2 whips, I haven't completed any parks yet. So I hope the next time you see this next week, I'll have a page finish and a park on this one. Again, I'm doing this one in diagonal pages after I do this one, so I'll come down here and however many I need to reach the park, or 8,000 stitches, which is usually a little more than a page, but I had already started this page, so we'll see between the feathering and the big block of white how many stitches I have to get down here to reach that 8,000 tent stitch mark. So that is 25 count, easy count. Those are the only 3 pieces I worked on this week. Not doing the homework in School Magical Stitches means I won't have as much to show you. However, I still have lots more stitchy related things to talk about before my story. So yes, we did finish grading. The Gryffindor Ravenclaw team finished grading all of Slytherin and Hufflepuff on Thursday morning. And then the Slytherin Hufflepuff team finished all our stuff on Friday. So all the grading is done. Hogwarts grading is done. I'm no longer a prefect. I have more stitching time. Let's see. There is a new group on Facebook for people interested in or who have already started the Templar Prophecy by Long Dog Templars. The group was started by Stephanie from Lindy Stitches. So I will put a link down to that group below in the description box if you're interested. It's real fun to see how everyone has stitched it. And also, I didn't see it in the group, but in her Instagram post where she announced the group, someone had commented they had finished Templar Prophecy already. So I clicked on her name, and I can't remember right now off the top of my head. But it's also in one of my Instagram posts where I talked about the group. She finished Templar Prophecy stitching the negative space, but she did it on a dark fabric. So the dark fabric, using like an ecru, it looked like type color, and it looks fantastic. So go find my Instagram post where I tagged her, and you can go see it yourself if you're interested. I can't do that on mine just because I have lighter fabric and because of the flosses I'm using, but if I had already started, I would have been sorely tempted to do that. A little bit of haul, along with my 2 gas threads for Familiar Sal. I got Snowy by Hands On Design. And then there's a whole bunch of designers releasing charts for to benefit the Australian bushfires and recovery for the animals, recovery for the land, firefighters, you name it. And a lot of the charts are things that I wouldn't really stitch up. But then Tilton Crafts on Friday and Saturday, it wasn't a sale. They just said anything sold Friday and Saturday, including gift cards, all the proceeds would go towards one of the organizations. It was one of the Irwin Family Foundation organizations to help with after the bushfires. So I bought 2 Tilton's charts. No, I didn't need any more full coverage, but it's supporting a good cause. So I got 1 ring to rule them all. And that one's a smaller one. It's only, go back, 350 by 230. And then the main reason I made a purchase is because of this limited edition chart. When I bought it, there was only 3 copies left available. So that makes it 2 copies. I did not look before I started filming to see if this was still available. This is Game of Thrones. If my tablet would stay. And Crafty Gaming Jamie is stitching this one. I don't know if and when I'll ever stitch it, but it's really cool, and it's a limited chart, and it was almost gone, so I bought it, and it benefits a good cause. Michelle at Heaven and Earth also just released a new chart today with artwork of a sad koala from Dakota Detweiler. I will also link that below. That is a limited edition available only for 1 month, and 100% of the proceeds will also be donated towards recovery for the bushfires. A lot of people are buying the chart just to benefit the organizations over there. But I've already seen a few people say, you know, I want to help, but it's not something I'd actually stitch, even though it is amazing artwork. They don't want to stitch on a sad looking koala, which is completely understandable, especially with how much time it takes to stitch a full coverage chart. Later this week, exciting for me, 2 of my neighbors want to talk cross-stitching. One of them has 3 children, and she posted right before Christmas that a family friend that had already stitched 2 stockings for her older children finished up the 3rd stocking. And so she posted a picture of all 3 and said eventually she's going to, you know, maybe 2020 is the year that she needs to learn to cross stitch. And I'm like, hello, you live like kitty corner from my house, and cross stitching is what I do. I'd be glad to help you with whatever you need. And then another neighbor commented on her post that she'd been trying to do a stocking for her daughter who's in kindergarten, so 5 years old. She's been trying to do a stocking for 4 years. So I'm like, I can help. Please let me have some friends who want to learn how to stitch or need, you know, want to do more stitching. So they were going to come over the weekend that I got sick. So we had to postpone that. And hopefully Wednesday morning, they're coming over. They're bringing their younger children to play with my youngest so they can have a play date and we can talk cross-stitching. I'm going to open up my stash to, you know, some of the non-full coverage easy stuff that I have to get my neighbor that's never stitched before, get her going on something that might be interesting to her. Give them some of the essentials that they may not have. Like the one stitching the stocking, I'm doubting that she has a frame. She's probably trying to do it in hand or in a hoop. And so I'll offer her a Q-snap and see, because that to me is a heck of a lot easier than a hoop, but I know it varies person to person. So hopefully that'll be Wednesday and I can come and back next week and tell you about that. Let's see, looking at my notes. that is all my cross stitching. Time for an Air Force story. So if you're not interested in Air Force stories, I'll see you later. Thanks for joining me. All right. Before I deployed, so we're talking about August 2005. I was a first lieutenant. I was 24 years old, and I was put in charge of organizing 2 TDYs with, taking airplanes. It was essentially 2 TDYs where the aircrew go to other places in the United States to fly with other groups and get some training. Well, that means that maintenance also has to go along and to support them and be able to launch the jets, fix the jets, and such. And I was the one in charge. I was the officer in charge. So I had to do everything logistically to organize to get us there, get the equipment there on trucks, get us lodging, whether it was on base if they had availability or off base if they didn't. And then these TDYs were back to back. So some of the people flew home. Some of the people from the first TDY flew with me commercially to the second location. And then other people flew in that didn't go on the first one. And we flew, a different kind of training missions and such for, a week or two. And then everybody goes home. I don't remember how many jets or how many people. I'm guessing roughly 50 people and probably 6 jets, 6 F-15Es. The first place we went was Mountain Home, which is just outside of Boise, Idaho. And from the start, it was a cluster. There were so many things that went wrong that I had to fix. It was a great learning opportunity for me on how to fix everything. First off, they didn't have any radios for us to talk with the maintenance operations center to, get the calls when the jets were coming, if they were coming in. Code 1, Code 2, or Code 3, which is different labels we give as to, if they're broken, if they're not broken, if they're really broke. And then we didn't have internet to do the debriefs to get everything into the system to track what needs to be fixed on the airplane. We had a bus breakdown, so then we were trying to get all the maintenance guys to and from the hotel to the base with only a few vehicles. And you're talking like 50 people. I mean, we had a bus. And so then you have airplanes landing without the proper people to catch the airplanes. And then trying to, luckily Mountain Home is also another base that has F-15Es. So the airplanes land and they're at EOR, end of runway. And the personnel that are stationed at Mountain Home know how to safe the aircraft. So that it can taxi into the ramp without danger to anyone. Let's see. And then there was a weapons troop that, I don't know, somehow got distracted. And, we have tech data, like manuals to do everything on the jet, be it launch the jet, fix every single different part, run ops checks on things. And this weapons troop had left a checklist which are in like vinyl page protectors and all bound together with what a lot of stitchers now use, those like cable metal rings for their floss. So a checklist held together by one of those, all this heavy duty vinyl page protectors was left on one of the missile rails on the airplane. Plane taxied down to the end of runway. And, the EOR guys did their thing to pull the remaining pins. Airplane starts taking off and checklist gets blown off. And the lieutenant colonel, chief of safety, who's watching everything, retrieves it off the runway and comes and finds me. Yeah, so I think I sent that troop home as punishment. I don't remember exactly. There was someone else there were a few different people that got sent home from both TDYs. And then because we were staying off base, troops were sharing rooms, and these 2 guys were all of a sudden suspected of drug activity because their room smelled like pot, and they found the pipe housekeeping found a pipe. So then we had to involve OSI, which is Office of Special Investigations, which is like NCIS, but for the Air Force. And they had to investigate. Come to find out, it was left by the people who previously stayed in the room. But still, another problem that I had to deal with. The good thing that I got to do, because I was the only officer with them, is that this was back in the day where squadron commanders got their promotion list before the list became public. So the commanders got to go around and surprise the troops who made rank, which involves, big stickers to go on their arms where the rank goes of the rank they just earned. And then you punch it on, and congratulations all around, everybody's happy. And so that was cool. I got to announce a few promotions while we were gone. And then the first TDY was over, and we flew. It was me and airmen and staff sergeants flew commercially to the next location, which was Las Vegas, Nellis Air Force Base. And then, a bunch of other people flew home. So there's personnel turnover. I was nervous that the staff sergeants below were going to get in trouble on the commercial flights or miss flights. We got there. Everything was okay. Luckily, within a couple days of getting there, a captain and another lieutenant came from my base, because there was actually 2 different training exercises going on at Nellis at the same time. So we were not the only F-15Es from Seymour Johnson that were there. So I could, lean on them if I had to for some help, which I did, because there was a staff sergeant who got belligerent drunk in uniform in the hotel and was bothering other guests. So really good crew chief who just can't handle his alcohol. So I had to cut him off and say, no more alcohol for you for the rest of the TDY, and you're in Las Vegas. Another good thing that we got to do is every once in a while, like after the training flights are done, we can still launch a couple more jets to do incentive rides for my maintainers. So because it's a 2-seat jet, you have a pilot and the weapons system officer. Well, incentive ride, you just have the pilot, and then whoever's getting the incentive ride sits in the back seat. So I was able to give some maintenance guys some incentive ride to reward them for good work. Well, one of these, so this crew chief was riding in his own jet, the jet that he's dedicated, and it's his airplane to fix. It's his that he's assigned to. It comes down to land after the incentive ride and blows a main tire on landing. So the rubber of the tire comes off. Airplane is down, crooked on the wheel assembly, which grinds down the brake. Airplane, it does eventually stop. Fire department responds and everything, so the heat and friction doesn't cause it to go on fire. So now we have an F-15E stuck in the middle of the runway, and we can't move it. So then call up the R&R guys, repair and reclamation. They have what's called a skate that they try to fit on the wheel, just kind of boost it up so you can actually tow the airplane off the runway to a spot where you can actually fix it by removing the wheel, removing the brake, putting on new parts. Well, the skate wouldn't go on because of how it was damaged. So literally on the runway, we're taking out aircraft jacks, we're jacking up the airplane, we're taking off the wheel, we're taking off the brake, and putting new ones on. The plane was on the runway for an hour. Luckily, Nellis has other runways because they're a very busy Air Force base. So that was my back-to-back TDYs that I was in charge of. I did go out with my troops, I believe, one night because it was Las Vegas, and yeah. It's a loose interpretation of still remaining professional, but being allowed to have a good time with your folks. So, yes, I could drink, but not to the point of making myself ridiculous. So that is my Air Force story. Yeah. I hope everyone has a really good day. We are about -7 wind chill right now. We actually got about 2 inches of snow this morning, so we are finally cannot see the grass anymore, which is really unusual not to be able to, or to see the grass on the pavement when it was January. January and February are usually our harshest months. So we finally have some snow on the ground, which makes me happy, because if it's cold, I want to see snow. So I will keep working on Kindred Spirits. I'll probably either work on Big Red Ship also, and or Templar Prophecy. And I'll see you next week and show you guys what I got done. All right, guys. See you later. Bye.